They said he would fade away. They said prison would silence him. They said dancehall would move on without him. Yet 32 years later, Vybz Kartel remains the most influential, most controversial, and most unstoppable force in dancehall. And now, his name is back on the world's biggest stage, the Grammys. But let's be clear, this is not just another comeback story. This is the story of a man who redefined an entire genre, who built an empire from behind bars, and who, despite everything, refuses to be erased from history. But how did he do it? And why does his influence still dominate the culture? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will shock you. Early years, humble beginnings to stardom. In 1993, a young Adidja Azim Palmer, just 17 years old, stepped into a recording booth for the first time. His debut track, Love Fat Woman, barely made a dent in the industry, but failure never scared him, it fueled him. 10 years later, in 2003, he dropped his debut album, Up to the Time, and overnight, a new king was crowned in dancehall. He wasn't just another artiste, he was an architect, reshaping the sound, the flow, and the very language of the genre. Kartel introduced a style that was unfiltered, fearless, and undeniably Jamaican. The streets felt it, the youth worshipped it, and the system, it feared him. The Kartel Effect, revolutionizing dancehall. Kartel didn't just make hits, he made movements. His music was more than just rhythms and rhymes, it was a manifesto. He gave voice to the unheard, glorified the streets, and in many ways exposed the raw realities of Jamaica's underbelly. But beyond the gangster narratives and sexually charged lyrics, Kartel was a marketing genius. He mastered the art of reinvention. From changing his flow to bleaching his skin, he understood how to stay relevant in an industry where relevance is everything. He wasn't just a musician, he was a brand, a businessman, and a puppet master who controlled the culture with every lyric he penned. And then, everything changed. The fall, arrest, trial, and conviction. In 2011, the unthinkable happened. Vybz Kartel was arrested and charged with murder. A legal battle ensued, gripping the nation in a spectacle of power, politics, and paranoia. The prosecution painted him as a criminal mastermind, a dangerous force who needed to be removed from society. The evidence? A phone, voice notes, and a case that many believed was built on shaky grounds. In 2014, the verdict came down like a hammer: life in prison. 35 years before parole, the man who once ruled the airwaves was now locked behind bars. Many thought this was the end of Vybz Kartel, but once again, he defied expectations. The resurrection, music from behind bars. Prison couldn't stop Kartel. If anything, it amplified his legend. While behind bars, he continued to release chart-topping hits, flooding the streets with music that felt just as fresh and influential as when he was free. From Fever to Any Weather, his songs dominated playlists, nightclubs, and streaming platforms. Rumors swirled. Was he recording in prison? Were these unreleased tracks from before his conviction? No one knew for sure. But one thing was undeniable. Kartel had done the impossible. He was winning the game without even being on the field. And then, something even more unexpected happened. Justice took a turn. The appeal, the Privy Council, and freedom. After losing his first appeal, hope seemed lost. But in 2023, the UK's Privy Council, Jamaica's highest court of appeal, granted him a retrial. The cracks in the case became impossible to ignore. The conviction was overturned. The charges were dropped. Kartel walked free. And the world was watching. The return, the Grammy nomination and controversy. Fast forward to 2025. The unthinkable has happened again. Vybz Kartel, the man they tried to bury, is standing on music's biggest stage. His song, Party With Me, earns him a nomination for Best Reggae Album at the 67th Grammy Awards. But there's a twist, because standing in his way is an all-too-familiar name, Bob Marley. When the winner is announced, it's Bob Marley, One Love, music inspired by the film. Kartel's Grammy dream is snatched away, and the debate explodes across social media. Fans cry foul. Many claim Marley's favoritism is alive and well. Others say the film's massive impact made the win inevitable. But here's the thing. Whether he won or lost, Vybz Kartel had already secured his legacy. The Grammy nomination wasn't a validation, it was a confirmation. A confirmation that 3 decades later, his influence is still shaping the sound of the Caribbean and beyond. The Kartel legacy. What he leaves behind. So, what is the Kartel Effect? It's not just about music. It's about defiance, reinvention, and resilience. Kartel proved that dancehall is more than just a genre. It's a movement, a voice for the voiceless, and a culture that refuses to be silenced. Even now, new artists still mimic his style, his delivery, his slang. The DNA of Vybz Kartel runs through every corner of dancehall. His influence is not just lasting, it's permanent. Here are 4 bonus facts. 1. Prison productivity. Despite his incarceration, Kartel released more music than most free artists, proving that creativity knows no bars. 2. Global impact. His music has been sampled by international stars and featured in Hollywood films, cementing his place as a global icon. 3. Lyrical genius. With over 1,000 officially recorded songs, Kartel is one of the most prolific dancehall artists of all time. 4. Dancehall's evolution. Kartel not only changed the sound, but also the business of dancehall, showing artists how to build their own brands beyond music. Love him or hate him, you cannot ignore him. Vybz Kartel didn't just change dancehall, he is dancehall. And 32 years later, he's still proving that no prison, no system, and no Grammy snub can erase the impact of the world boss. The only question left is, what will he do next? Please subscribe to our channel today if you haven't already. You can also check out other videos on this channel, Impacting Jamaica.